Hello, welcome back to the Affordable Watch channel and thanks for watching. Today we will talk about the Hamilton Jazzmaster Seaview chronograph. I will leave the model reference in the description. If you take a look on the official Hamilton website, you will see that this model has been discontinued, but you should still be able to find it on other websites for under £1,000. Let me start by saying that Hamilton is by far one of my favorite watch brands. Firstly, because Hamilton has a rich history in watchmaking, with significant contributions to timing trains in the early days of American railroads. Other relevant associations of Hamilton involve keeping the US airmail on time, as the age of aviation was starting to develop around 100 years ago, and also the Hollywood collaborations for productions such as Shanghai Express and more recently Men in Black, The Martian, Interstellar or Tenet. Secondly, because Hamilton seems to have a watch for every pocket, while the build quality it's always impeccable. Impeccable according to my standards anyway, as there's not a lot more I would expect from a watch that Hamilton doesn't offer. Now let's get back to the Jazzmaster Seaview. According to Hamilton, this watch was designed to bridge the gap between the classic Jazzmaster look and the robust character of the khaki collection. The nautical theme is emphasized by combining a very comfortable rubber strap with the sporty look of the case, featuring a rotating compass-inspired bezel. I say compass-inspired because the bezel doesn't feature cardinal points. It can, however, still easily be used for navigation. Of course, you don't really need a compass nor a compass-inspired bezel, but this is just another of the many specs you often see but don't actually need, such as a 300-meter water resistance. Unless you're a professional diver, then you might need it. The same can be said about the compass bezel, because if you ever get lost, you're more likely to take out your mobile phone. But let's say you somehow manage to end up in the middle of nowhere and you are out of battery. Then, knowing how to use the bezel on your watch may save your life. By the way, I'm no expert navigator, so please make sure you study the matter thoroughly, preferably before getting lost in relying on your watch to find your way back. My understanding, however, is that the watch must be set in regular time, not in daylight saving time. So depending on where you are in the world, you might need to set the watch back by about an hour. Then you need to find the sun. Holding the watch leveled, simply point the hour hand towards the sun. If you are in the northern hemisphere, rotate the south cardinal point, or in our case, the arrow located at the 30-minute position, halfway between the hour hand and the 12 o'clock position. And that's it. The 30-minute position on the bezel is your south, and from there you can easily find north, east, and west. Depending how long you navigate this way, you may need to readjust as you go along, following the sun's position in the sky. If you are in the south hemisphere, you can follow a similar approach, but instead of positioning the south cardinal, you set the north, or in our case, the 60 minutes arrow halfway between the hour hand and the 12 o'clock position. Moving on to the dial, I hope it is clearly visible in the images that we are not looking at a simple bland dial. There's a pattern to it. A pattern that resembles carbon fiber. This contributes to the sporty design of the watch. The 44mm stainless steel case offers a 100-meter water resistance and comes with a sapphire crystal on the front and luckily also on the back of the case, which allows us to see the Valjoux 7753 in action. I will make one small comment in relation to the case size, as I know that the 44mm diameter may discourage some people from even considering this watch. I have several 42mm watches, and to me the Hamilton Jazzmaster Seaview feels like a 42mm, so keep in mind that it wears slightly smaller, most likely thanks to the tapered rubber strap and curved lugs. Going back to the movement, founded in 1917, Valjoux is known for being one of the pioneers of chronograph movements. Their calibers, automatic and hand-wound, were widely used by many watch brands, including Tag Heuer, Breitling, Omega, and most notably by Rolex. In 1979, Valjoux was acquired by ETA, and so it became a part of the Swatch Group. I thought it's worth mentioning these things so that we can better appreciate the movement inside this Hamilton. The Valjoux 7753 is equipped with a cam-activated central chronograph function and features subdials showing elapsed minutes and hours. Being cam-activated, the chronograph operation will not be as smooth as that of a column wheel movement. In a cam-activated chronograph, the lever is moved by the push pieces to activate the functions. By comparison, the column wheel rotates and engages with the chronograph levers to activate the functions. Having a more defined activation point, column wheel components go through less friction and therefore offer a smoother operation. For these reasons, column wheel movements tend to be the preferred option, but are also more expensive. On the other hand, if you're like me, you will surely appreciate a cam-activated chronograph at least as much, if not slightly more, than the column wheel option. The reason I find the Valjoux 7753 very satisfying to operate is perhaps the lack of smoothness. Pressing the pushers feels mechanically raw, but very precise at the same time. I mentioned earlier that Valjoux movements were also used by Rolex. The caliber was called 727 and it was hand-wound. These movements can be found in some of the early Daytona models, such as the iconic 6263. Just like the 727 in the early Daytona models, the 7753 that we can see in this Hamilton offers a power reserve of 48 hours. It does, however, beat at a higher frequency, 28,800 VPH versus the 21,600 vibrations per hour in the Daytona. Not many of us can afford a Rolex chronograph, or a Rolex period. Perhaps this video will give you enough reasons to consider a compromise. I mean, if Valjoux as a movement manufacturer was good enough for the iconic Daytona 6263, it surely is still good enough for me. And the Hamilton we just looked at, it's only one of the many options currently available. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, please do like and subscribe. Until next time.